I'm not so sure you know that last Sunday, China just announced its program plan for education reform to 2010 to 2020. It's a very comprehensive reform that touches upon almost every layer and every sector of education. And there's unprecedented commitments in terms of policies and resources. All right, we look through my comment, my criticism on the document. It's a huge document. Is that there's little about the nature of education. Taking for granted that education is something you have to improve without knowing what is going to improve. So the danger now is that we are trying to do more and better of what we are doing rather than doing something different. When I say different, it's really the society, because society has changed. And that is my basic research in the past 10 or 11 years. Things are changing so quickly. Society has totally changed that we educators almost cannot recognize it. The fundamental change is almost as fundamental as the change from agricultural to industrial society. And now it's another huge leap in society. And for that purpose, for that matter, then education is lagging behind, because education around the world basically is still trying to process our students so that they can get credentials to fit the labor market. But so-called labor market is no longer as what we see. It's very fragile. It's very it's changing. It's varied, and so we have to return learning to what we call education. In an article that in a book that's published by the Academy for Arts and Sciences in America, my title is Education for All, but for what? We put everybody into schools, but what are we doing to our children? And for that matter, we have to return learning to all our students real learning opportunities, real learning experiences. And for that matter, what Barbara just mentioned, lifelong learning, the capability to do lifelong learning, lifelong learning. And in that context, e-learning becomes very important, because it is to not only about another way of learning or another type of learning, it's really how to break through the barriers that are there due to time, due to place, due to institutions, and due to people's mentalities. And unfortunately, that I don't think is very much appreciated by educators. Educators very much work among themselves. And education has its own institution, its own purposes, its own means, its own ways of evaluation. And in that context, in this university, Dr. Carol Chen was sitting there, and I started about a year ago, 1.5 years ago, applied for what we call a strategic research theme, which are 19 in this university across disciplines. And we try to put it as sciences of learning. Not that we believe that learning is a narrow science, but we use sciences to attract whoever don't believe in learning as a scientific domain. And the first reaction from the relevant authorities that this is too narrow. Right? So this is the fundamental response. So right now we have gathered about 80 academics across the campus. They range from neuroscientists, psychologists, people work on learning technologies, people work on all kinds of pedagogy, for example, PBL, problem-based learning, engineering, education, science education, language learning. Then there are new emerging collaborations, for example, in motor learning, which includes sports science people, speech science people, and the physical rehabilitation people. And they come together with almost the same theories for learning. And then there are also emerging attention to arts learning on drama, on music, and also different groups working on values learning and spirituality learning. We have a very famous Buddhist center, and they are trying to understand the neuroscience of meditation, for example. And then we have another group of people working on the contexts of learning, including as basic as curriculum and school management, and also macro policies. And for that matter, UNESCO has just started late last year, a campaign, almost a campaign, to have a theme of learning in education policy deliberations. And they're struggling with the title. They are trying to call it an inclusive education, because education no longer for selection and exclusion. And, but anyway, it is trying to return learning to education to become the real core business of learning. And we started, the strategic research team started with pooling and scanning what is happening. And then we try to provide some platform for cross-fertilization in what we call town hall meetings. At least they talk to each other, otherwise they are separate. And then we'll move on other stages. And hopefully, when next time you meet, we can have a more substantial report to you about what's happening on our side.